What is up, Star Wars fans? This is Darth Watson. In this video, we are going to be going over some stuff that's been going on with Mark Hamill lately, and what has been going on with Mark Hamill. And recently, Mark Hamill has appeared for a reunion for the 10th anniversary for The Force Awakens, and the entire cast was there. J.J. Abrams was there, and Mark Hamill has felt betrayed because he didn't have the role that he wanted to in the sequel trilogy, and disagreed with J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson for not having as much of a role in the sequel trilogy as he wanted to. But Mark Hamill was told by J.J. Abrams that it was no longer Luke's story anymore, that it's now been passed on to the new generation of characters such as Rey and Finn and Poe. So basically with the sequel trilogy, it's about a new generation of characters, no longer Luke Skywalker. It's Luke Skywalker is no longer the big hero as he was in the original trilogy, and the whole concept of the older exiled Luke Skywalker didn't come from Rian Johnson. That idea came from George Lucas himself. When he sold Star Wars to Disney, he completed outlines for a sequel trilogy. And in his outlines for a sequel trilogy, it described a older exiled Luke Skywalker haunted by the betrayal of one of his nephews, who becomes the Jedi killer, which we see Kylo Ren taking up that character inspiration from the Jedi killer as what was described in concept art of the Art of the Force Awakens. And in the Art of the Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, it appears that The Last Jedi has taken up the most inspiration from George Lucas's sequel trilogy treatments. Now, I'm not saying that the sequel trilogy went on the exact same path as George Lucas had originally intended, because that is not true, but it's also not true that the sequel trilogy took up zero inspiration, because there was a lot of ideas that were being used, especially in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. So in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, they took up the most inspiration from Lucas's sequel trilogy treatments. The Rise of Skywalker took up the least amount of inspiration, because Palpatine returning is number one. Also, the entire screenplay had to be rewritten for the sequel trilogy due to Carrie Fisher's passing, and it would be a straight up slap in the face to Carrie Fisher's legacy if they were to recast or cast a CG character for Princess Leia, who is Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher played Leia Organa in the original trilogy, and she was a great actor. So she is a irreplaceable actor. To replace her would be a complete slap on the face and a disrespect to Carrie Fisher's legacy. But as far as all of that, Mark Hamill felt betrayed, but it wasn't J.J. Abrams or Rian Johnson's fault of the older exiled Luke Skywalker. That was actually George Lucas's idea for the sequel trilogy, and that idea came after the backlash that George Lucas had received on the prequel trilogy. So George Lucas came up with this older exiled Luke Skywalker haunted by the betrayal of one of his apprentices, later became his nephew, and Kylo Ren later became the character of Kylo Ren. But anyways, my point is that Mark Hamill felt betrayed. But anyways, do make sure to smash a like, subscribe, comment, and I will catch you all later in another video.